What's up, guys? This is Todd. This is take 2 of me recording this tutorial. Unfortunately, my XLR crashed in take 1, so hopefully it will go better this time. So I wanted to record this tutorial for a while now, and it's build order and creep routes, which is somewhat universal to most maps in FFA for humans. So I'm going to be doing every race eventually, but we're going to start with humans since that's my race. And whoever wants to learn this, I strongly recommend that you basically do this. You have a TXT file or notepad file, whatever this is called, or you print this out. And ideally, you should be looking at this while you practice the build order. And this was the way that I learned playing how to play RTS personally. In early 2000s, I was playing Brood War, and I came onto a tutorial like this, or a Protoss versus Zerg tutorial, which was Zealots +1 attack, where instead of killing the Zerglings with 3 hits, the Zealots started killing them with 2 hits. And that kind of blew my mind, and ever since, that's really what I've used to as an example on how to study build orders and how to get better at them. So I've perfected this build order over a long period of time. I'm currently rank 1 on the ladder for FFA. I finished rank 1 last season as well, so I definitely have some credentials. And yeah, you can extend this, by the way. So depending how wide your computer is, I would say like this is probably about right. You just want to make sure you see the first numbers here. And I'm not going to have this on the screen now. On this screen, I'm going to move it to the second screen, and we're going to go step by step into what it is you need to do. All right, so let's begin. So 5 to gold is the first step, and then the first peasant that comes out, which it's the 6th peasant, but when it comes out, obviously it will say 7 out of 12, so that's kind of the visual cue that I put. So first peasant out makes lumber mill. Second peasant out will make altar. And they always make your lumber mill in the corner, kind of out of the way. Your altar a bit further out than in other game modes, because you're going to need a lot of space inside here to build everything. Yeah, farm in the corner. I like to build my base like this because I will build towers here behind. And you need to have enough space inside for double sanctum, double workshop, a bunch of towers to kind of protect your main. So yeah, I build the farm up to 100 hit points, then I make the barracks. Then the next peasant to come out will finish that farm that I had already started. And then the next peasant to come out will make a farm, but before that, look at what's on the list. Start improve lumber mill harvesting, which is about the same time, yeah. So we're going to want a lot of lumber. This is a perfect mix of quick tech to having an economy. And human has very good creeping tools in the militia. So start your hero, keep making peasants. And then the peasants that builds the barracks will make the 3rd farm, which will be your last farm before the tech. And really this build comes down to teching at 26, so very, very fast. So you basically delay your hero and your footman, but the trade-off for it is that you tech pretty fast and you still set up an expansion pretty fast. So you can get your tri-hero out on the map very, very quickly. So what I did with the farm here, you don't need to do. Just put your farm inside of your wall or close to your main. But definitely leave enough space inside of your base to later build everything that it is that you're going to want. And you're always going to want a straight expo on pretty much every single FFA map. There is no exception. You always want to immediately go expo. So I'm going to take 5 peasants. Somebody offered me to peace because he's next to me. I don't see any reason not to, so I say okay, because we don't know where everybody else is yet. Always summon the water elemental a bit in advance, so you start replenishing mana. And here's the big difference between 1v1, 4v4, and FFA. In FFA, you're never going to get rushed. People will almost never fight you before the 10th minute. Because of that, you can do a thing that you would never do in 1v1 or 4v4, which is tank a lot of damage from the script with your Archmage and with the peasants, which both will replenish their hit points over time pretty quickly. And eventually, ideally, get back to full before the real action in the game begins. So the trade-off is you keep your water elemental healthier and your footies, and then you can creep better after that. Yeah, tank a lot with the Archmage. Like in 1v1 or 4v4, you'd never do that pretty much. So yeah, 26 supply here we're gonna tech. And your tech happens when you have 7 peasants on lumber and 2 footies in your army. So now attacked and the expo is crept, and you see I am nowhere near having the resources to start my expo. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mine lumber, and by now improved lumber harvesting is already finished. So instead of mining 10 times 5, I'm gonna mine 20 times 5 ideally before I start the expo. And once the expo finishes, those guys are gonna bring back that lumber to the townhall. That's gonna be a nice boost because later you're gonna see it's pretty tight lumber-wise. You need to have plenty of it. So creeping-wise, on every single map, you're gonna straight expo in FFA and then do green, green, and then do a lab, which is around 23 o'clock, exactly when the shredder comes out, except for a few maps. There is a few maps where you do the lab a bit earlier, but just because it's convenient creep route-wise. I think it's Wellspring Temple, maybe, which is one of them. It might be the only one. There is not many maps where you do that, but there is some. On almost every map, it's Expo, Green, Green, and then Lab. So yeah, write that down. I didn't put it in the tutorial. The tutorial is mostly more fixated on build order, more so than creep route. But creep route, you definitely want to get down perfectly as well. So here, when you have 26, when you reach about 140 gold, you're going to start the extra footman. You don't want to start it at 135, because otherwise the peasants at your expo stop mining. They will even go back to main sometimes. So I waited until I had close to 140, then I start the third peasant. And then 28 out of 30, that's when you're going to start your shop. And kind of same thing, you want to wait until you have like 140 gold or something. And your shop is going to want to be close to your main hall. Why? Because when you TP, you can immediately buy regen scroll, TP, like a new town portal, craters, all of that, which is very important. You don't want your shop to be all the way out there, or here, or at the expo. It needs to be in your main and close to the main town hall. You kind of need to pay attention, ideally, to when your expo finishes, because one of the peasants always glitches and goes to lumber, which is pretty annoying. You want to have 5 on gold immediately and produce 1 peasant when that finishes. Yeah, here I'm going to head towards the lab, get the shredder at precisely the time it's going to be available, which is in-game clock, 23 o'clock. And I'm 2.9, which is not a big deal. You know, this camp is not that hard, so I'm going to wait for the shredder to help me. Sometimes if I'm 3 here, maybe I can even start, but you see, I have 2 seconds left on the shredder being available. So I attack the priest always first, put the shredder to work to help me clear out the camp quickly. And try to kind of spread out the damage between all the units. And then I think I sent 1 footy to the middle to get Panda, which I very much like in FFA. So here, I know that there is nobody there. So once you've grabbed Shredder and you finish that camp, the next camp that you're going to do, and if you get a Panda, it's going to be with the Panda only, is an extra expo immediately. So on maps like this, where you have this many mines, you're really meant to triple expo. And I mean as fast as possible. So that's what I'm going to do there. I get the item, I send the units to the expo. Last tier 3, I send the militia to the expo. Maybe not yet. Oh, I did an extra camp, I think. Yeah, but just because my footy at the tavern was a little bit late, so I was like, okay, I'll just do an extra camp. And then on maps like this, where it's all creeps that you can Drunken Haze, I kind of like Drunken Haze first, personally. Because yes, it's not damage like Breath of Fire, but it will make the creeps miss a lot, and you will still creep the camp easily. And because on a map like this, you get level 2 anyway, I'm going to have Breath of Fire immediately after. I send 5 militia. And then I'm going to send my Archmage to the main for one of the very important parts, scouting-wise. So remember, I had 5 peasants on lumber in the main. So that means, 7. So 5 of them are going to go take the expo. 2 of them are going to make sanctums. What's missing? The blacksmith. So the blacksmith is going to be with the 1 peasant that you met at the expo, which usually happens immediately after the expo finishes. But then you're meant to make another and rally that one to the lab so that you can get a farm at the lab, because you're going to need second shredder on the triple expo map. Yeah, get double sanctum, send that one to the main, send the next one I rallied to the lab. I'm going to transfer all items. And now I send the Archmage to my shop. This is very important. Like, because that's going to be our first scout. And you want to go up to 40 supply with this. The thing about the footies is that they're expandable. So sometime soon I'm going to need to lose them before I buy second shredder. They're going to make space for me to have free supply to get second shredder without breaking upkeep. And we can already start talking about this. It's a very important concept. It's your 50 supply. Because in FFA it's very common to hoard. Your 50 supply should consist of 21 peasants, 20 at gold, and then 1 in main to mine lumber or to build every building that you need to make. So for example, I play double sanctum, double workshop almost always. But later you need to add workshop number 3, workshop number 4, a lot of towers, and then aviaries. So that one peasant will often build all of this. So that's 21 supply. 2 shredders, that's 4 supply each, so 29 total. Then you have 3 heroes, which is 15, so that's 44 total. So you have 6 supply left in your 50 supply, and you want to make that as efficient as possible. Because you're creeping and you're taking damage, even though you have water elementals, I like to get 2 priests, because they can keep you healthy, they can build up on mana before a fight, and they are useful against every race. And then I like to get 2 gyros. This is probably like maybe the most important thing in all of this, to scout the whole map. And really adapt to anything that you must spot. If you see somebody pump, you react, you go, and then you pump, and you get ready to fight. But if there is nothing coming your way, you can also hoard and not be in a rush to make any army. So this is a very important concept that definitely, like this, you should have visible all the time. Print this on the paper, write it on the paper, tape it to your monitor if you play FFA. This is going to be like a lifesaver. So right now we're at 40 supply, which we're getting close to at this point here. We're going to keep watching. So this is a very important part here, is that you send your Archmage at this stage while you're creeping your second hero. Your Archmage is already 3. And what you're going to want to do is use the Clarity immediately, and then do double Crater that you both summon immediately, and then buy Regen Scroll Clarity. So it's Clarity, double Crater, Regen Scroll Clarity. I use the Clarity immediately. I do double Crater, and then I go back to the expo. And now I'm going to send those around the map. This is your initial scout. Against good players, of course, they're going to be excellent at killing those, but a lot of the time you're still going to be like, not everybody's sitting in their main waiting for a crater to walk in. So a lot of the time you're going to get a cheap scout into their main base. You're going to see the Sim City. You can kind of start deciding if a player is good or not from that. Like maybe you scout like a very late tech from someone, you know that they're not that good. It can either make you decide to go on them or not to. So now we're approaching the time where the second shredder is going to be available. And I'm kind of powering my second hero to 3 here as fast as I can. And this is also kind of universal. So I did say you're going to take triple expo as fast as you can, but I cannot support lumber-wise to take another expo yet. So usually before I take the third expo, I will create my second hero to level 3 very often. And I will also wait for second shredder to be closer or even already there. And I'm also a big proponent of getting boot of speeds on my second hero. Whether it's a Mountain King or a Panda is irrelevant. You always get boot of speed on that. So yeah, here, creep. And then I start a priest. So usually from the Sanctum, when they finish, you get priest, then dispel, and then you get the second priest. And pretty quickly, you're going to want to go into master training. Okay, unfortunately, this is a game where I forgot my blacksmith. So maybe there is some stuff missing. It's very hard to put everything on a tutorial like this, because if I put build order plus creep routes, it's going to be a little too much. So I try to kind of simplify, and it's still very complicated, as you see, still very, very long. But I strongly invite you guys to write your own notes in your own way, even in a different language if you want, and watch, replays and study and do this, because this is what's going to help you a lot improve. For me, the build order is like set in my mind, and you're still making a couple mistakes here and there. Yeah, I do an extra camp now. And again, like I said, we're approaching the time where second shredder is going to be available, and I kind of want to free supply by killing my own footies very soon, because I don't want to go over 50 here. This is super important. So I get Orb Staff. Obviously, you start Paladin as soon as you can, whenever it's available. often on big camps like this, I don't even send militia anymore. I think, like, I mean, this game is over 1 month old, but I feel like I still improved since then. So yeah, I like buying tome early. I like getting staff orb early, and obviously you're gonna want to buy the second staff as soon as possible, and buying it super fast like this allows it to come back quicker. Whereas if I delay the buying of this. Also, like, you could, on some maps, you could already retrain here, but on this map, I want to do the red camp eventually in the corner, which you cannot hit with blizzards. Okay, so as soon as the... Okay, there's second shredder. I think it was pretty close to exactly when he was available. You see, I had 52 a kill Mount Footy. And then once you have double workshop on the way, now you start queuing some upgrades. So I've scouted around the map. This is probably a bit more advanced, but I guess it's good if I explain it to you already. Is that purple is inside of a surrounds. So he has one player here, because this is an 8 players map. So usually if you're out inside of a surrounds, you need to fight one of your neighbors, but like, for me, there is no interest in fighting him because he's close to blue as well, and like I can just go on till. You know, if you look at the map and you kind of try to anticipate who will fight who, this is what makes sense. I mean, this is a chat game. We're going to call out who fights who anyway. And I strongly advise not fighting someone who's already fighting, which is why the 2 critters into 2 gyros is very important. Right now, it's my critters that scouted both these players. That's the only reason I know they're there. So it's very likely they will fight, and then I can fight till. And here the goal is really to creep as quickly as possible, set up triple expo, have double shredder. I usually put both shredders in my main base, but eventually my latest base I will also reinforce the decent amounts. And then I will put another shredder there. So that, you know, I will not run out of trees too fast in my main base, ideally. So here I just keep creeping. It's pretty good to start buying some periods here, because your Archmage in FFA, you know, you're often going to make it to late game. You need to have at least 2 or 3 periods for him not to die super fast. So I realized I'm very bad, and I had the footy there stuck the whole time. So obviously I'm going to get rid of that. That's kind of dead supply. I was like, why do I have 50? I don't have 2 gyros. But yeah, the 2 gyros supply is taken up by that footy right now. So yeah, it seems like purple and blue are currently fighting. Blue is Lemes and purple is Ernicus, and Lemes loves fighting early, so you went on him. And Till is Neutron, who I'm going to be fighting. So yeah, usually while this third expo is going up, I start reinforcing my base. I notice I have 1 peasant missing, I will send it there, and now I start to work on the reds. Now, very important part is the double gyro that I'm going to scout with. So it starts now. I rally them to my Archmage. I feel like I could even probably rally them like near my expo and then kind of spread them out. So yeah, up until now you're still creeping. And if you want to fight early, I would say don't save much more than this. Like when you have 1k5 or 2k, you can already break. If you have an idea of who you're going to fight. I mean, now I know I'm going to be fighting Till, but I'm not in a rush to pump because it's good for me if I can build a good bank. It's going to be helpful later on, you know? In the later stages of the game, having a big bank can win you a game also. And also, if you think about it, you can creep up to level 5. So imagine if you creep level 5 Archmage and like 4 Panda and 3 Pala, and then you fight. That's when you get level 6 on Archmage. And that's when you can start mass teleporting and do amazing things. But there's really not much interest fighting before that. Get a pretty good item. And here my scout is what's going to tell me everything. I see that I have the extra expo set up before the guy in bottom right. Even set up some extra towers. Second staff. And here the gyro, sometimes they will just scout what camps are still available. So yeah, in terms of the build order, the tutorial kind of stopped here. So now we're not gonna focus too much on a precise build order. I will just give general guidelines. So yeah, here is a time where I will add workshop 3 and 4. I'm kind of scouting what heroes he has, what items he found. And then this is like maybe, you see, remember what I said, the gyros are extremely important. So I have this gyro here that will perfectly spot when he will pump units, which will tell me when I need to pump units. As long as he doesn't pump, I don't need to pump either. And then on the other side, I also have an amazing gyro that pretty much spots the whole fight happening between those two guys, but the chat also kind of tells me that they're fighting. In terms of upgrades, you always, like, if you're fighting human mirror, it's probably the only exception, where it's pretty much like inner fire knights, some mortars, and then maybe some griffins or gyros or tanks mixed in. Probably not many breakers. But that's the only matchup that plays out like this. Against every other race, if there is air, you go tanks. You always need a good amount of breakers. You almost don't make knights at all. And you make a few casters of each. So usually, 2 priests, 2 sorceress. Against orc or elf is very common. Against undead, you can kind of start skipping the caster. So here, now I see him pump. You see this is very important. I see him pump. I don't know how long he's been pumping for, but I see that he's pumping. So I'm like, okay, well, this is my turn to make units. I need to make sure I don't lose to this guy. So I start making tanks. I already have 2 priests, remember? So I get 2 sorceress, and after that I will queue breakers. And I start making a lot of tanks, which my 3rd workshop will already be useful towards. In the meantime, I still keep on creeping. Even if you get attacked in FFA, don't panic. You can lose an expo very easily. You're not in a rush to fight or anything. So yeah, he ends up attacking my expo. And yeah, he had already pumped for a while, clearly, because he's got a decently big army. In retrospect, this wasn't a very safe TP by me. I probably should have TP'd further back, I would say. Also, I used Divine Shield a little late. Definitely some mistakes. Yeah, not ideal that I already have... Not ideal that I have no mana on that panda. I spent everything. And because I TP'd in here, I can't TP out, so I have to staff. Yeah, the cannon tower is going to help me tremendously here. This is why I like to reinforce that base. So I buy a new TP. Yeah, he put some trance in my expo. Since then, I've started making towers earlier in my bases. I make at least like 2 guard towers or 1 guard, one guard, 1 arcane per base. Because now I could have prevented that if I'd done that. Leaving my expo completely exposed. I mean, for a long time I played with people and they played very scared, so I kind of got used to that. But now if you play against some good players, they will definitely attack you earlier than you will attack them, so yeah, here I'm going to get in position to defend. Go for a little bit of exaggeration. Although it wasn't looking great in that moment. I wouldn't say I'm dead. Yeah, I missed the Holy Light, actually. Now I have some tanks. So a very important rule about 100 is that in FFA you never go 100 up until you have an insane bank. And when you do go 100, you need to fight immediately after because you're losing too much gold. And one thing that you can do, if you already have like, 5k or 10k, is that you can stop mining. So that you save that gold in your bases for later to mine when you're back on 80 or even on 50. But here I have absolutely no intention. I think even if I saw 100, I probably would stay on 80 and then try to hold with 80. Because I'm just going to have too much more golds eventually, thanks to that. So here I force him back eventually. And then obviously I'm going to want to counter-attack. Ideally before he's ready himself. Here the dream would be that he TPs in and he has like a really bad position. I actually went up to 4 sorceresses here, which is nice because I can polymorph. It's very hard for elf to mix properly here. Like what units do you make and stuff. So I'm kind of counting on him making mistakes in regards to that. But this army in general that I have right now is like very versatile and strong. So yeah, I don't know if you saw, but when a tree is about to finish, if you're in position to breath the wisp, and the tree has like 10% HP, you can breath and it kills the wisp after the tree. Look. But this is very important because you're going to get a lot of XP by doing that, and it's very hard for him to avoid it. So yeah, kill one expo, I'm trying to force TP from the other one, and then I split, waiting to see what his position is. Protection scroll, and then we go. Very important is that you should always carry a bunch of scroll with this army. Your backline is very, very squishy, and scrolls also affect heroes. So the more spread out the damage is, the better for you it is. So I always carry a lot of scrolls in every game. Through the game, I keep buying them. I think they're so good. I'd rather have 1 scroll here than have like 90 supply and 2 extra units. Because the value out of that is going to be way better coming from the scroll. Okay, here I even use 1 more. Here you don't really need to completely crush your opponents. It's about trading. You don't even need to kill heroes either. I'd much rather kill units because I'm going to get a lot of XP. And then if you lose units, it's fine. Let him get XP, because later when you kill him, you'll get more XP yourself. So see that as a win. And he had the item to steal a unit, and he stole a tank, so that's extra XP for me. So here I end up killing his expo, and then now I know that I'm doing pretty well. Obviously I could go hard on him, but this is the timer game, so in this case, if I stay on him and I wreck him too hard, they're just going to team me when the score will be revealed at the 30th minute mark. So now I'm going to piss him for a while. And then we end up banking for a long time. This is the time where if you would be on 50, that'd be amazing. The problem is that anyone that's on 50 and gets scouted will get attacked immediately and be in trouble, and also called out in a chat game. So here what I do is that I try to scout a lot. I wait for my base to fully mine out. And I build up my economy. I get all of the upgrades. And I try to get extra level for my heroes. I already have Archmage 5, Panda 5. And I'm trying to get Pala leveled up a bunch. And it's lucky for me that Lemes played so aggressive, because now all of these camps here were left over because of this. So I'm even going to get this, which is insane. Like, that should never ever be there. He should have done that. So now, in a game like this, there is no expos left over. I would definitely advise in this spot, it's a mistake to go up to 6 bases, and I've made that mistake a lot. I don't want to kill the elf and go up to 6 bases, because otherwise I'm going to look too strong. So you never want to look too strong, otherwise you're going to get teams. So here kind of what you want to do is sacrifice your peasants. And here I'm just going to get out. So I didn't know if he was going to engage. We're playing it safe. I did at some point go through the middle and buy a bunch of auras as well. So the best... Probably the number one aura is this one, Drums. I think it's just too good. It gives a lot of damage to your entire army. True Shot is very good because almost everything you have is ranged. And then obviously Endurance and this is also very nice. But these are the main 4 auras. And then stuff like Medallions are very good on your second hero. So I keep fast forwarding a bit. And then I'm ready to fight Elf. But I want to mine out as much as I can. I'm going to keep fast forwarding. So here the score is revealed. And this was pretty much my game plan heading into this game. I mean, this is not very useful for you guys because you're probably never going to play a timer game. But this is maybe can emphasize the importance of not looking too strong. I'm literally 3rd right in score. So people are not paying that much attention to me. So I'm still going to creep a little bit. And then I come around this area and I couldn't resist. I saw double shredder. It's also, in timer, it's all about the score. So some people, they will buy a lot of shredders and try to go up to insane score thanks to that, because the resource score is affected a lot. But the most important is hero score. So you really want to get those hero levels. So I'm going to use this, what he tried to do here against him, which kind of announces to him that I'm going to be attacking him soon, but I don't really care. I'm confident anyway. Yeah, kill this. And then he ends up showing up with an army that's pretty good against a lot of breakers here. I go home, and then I kind of pump the wrong army. And then here, you see I have no more income. I'm not mining anymore. So if you look at your gold to lumber ratio, and you have like this, I don't know exactly, but I would say you probably need like 3/4 or 4/5 in lumber to what you have in gold. And then that's enough. Because everything from your units costs more gold than lumber. So I'm not sure exactly what the precise ratio here is, but I feel like here I had enough lumber, and I can remake a peasant anyway. It's not like we're out of trees, you know? So I even sacrificed my shredders. I denied them myself, that's very important. I don't send them to die, because that would give XP. I denied them myself, and then now I built a very strong 100 supply, which unfortunately didn't counter ground very well, because Breaker sucks against... So he kind of built the perfect army to counter mine here. But I didn't panic. You can still kind of use the tanks to kill buildings. So yeah, we had one initial fight. And then he ended up kind of chasing me around. Wait, here everything was red. This was not going great. I just realized I had the completely wrong army. So I need way more mortars. Like, I mean, Dryads are great against this army, but what's going to happen now when I make like 5 or 6 or even 4 mortars will be enough. And then they're going to splash those Dryads. I'm going to get a shitload of XP. That's kind of the plan. The thing about fights too in FFA is that it's very simple. You literally pretty much attack move, and then you blizzard, and you drunken haste, breath of fire, and then you control your pally. Very, very straightforward, simple. You don't need to do much, anything fancy. Group-wise, you see I have heroes and breakers in group 1. Group 2 is my casters and mortars usually often, and then group 3 is tanks. But in this game, maybe I had a lot of casters or something, so I put... Oh, I did that, yeah. Casters, mortars, and group 3 is tanks on their own. But yeah, I basically overmade tanks initially against no chimps, because chimps is kind of the standard. So he outsmarted me, but then I transitioned very nicely. And he's going to make a big mistake here with this panda. I pull him off his keeper, then I breath, and he loses it. And then immediately behind this, I go into his main. I'm going to go back a bit. Yeah, there we go. So this is really where you want to be when you siege an elf with a lot of tanks like this. I should have my priest on inner fire ideally. I don't think they were. You see, they're attacking here. That's a mistake. But if you... I see why. Okay, one of them is inner fire. And then here it's a lot about the staff and holy lights. Just try to save as much as you can, fight effectively, land some good blizzards, and that panda will take care of the rest too. So yeah, here he's just kind of getting murdered. I'm miming a bit in chat because he had a game, this was Neutron, he had a game recently where in a team event where Trunks was on my team, he played a game against Trunks, and while he destroyed him, he kept writing that Trunks was pro. And I was like, this is the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen. So I was like, okay, I'll get him back. But then now I knew from pretty early this was Neutron, so I was like, okay, this is revenge time. For Trunks. So yeah, you kind of lack crowd control with this combo, but you still have Cyclone against ultimates, and you have Polymorph now, which is a big game changer. So here I would say, be careful not to overstay in this type of fight. If I see that I'm really starting to lose everything and he has a big army and I have nothing, I'm just going to TP out. But here, I still see that I'm trading pretty well. So that kind of made me want to stay a bit more. How did that priestess escape? I got a pretty good ult. Unfortunately, Night Elf, they can pretty much always escape and like rebuild, so you can't finish people like this. But yeah, the game goes on for like 15 more minutes and we kind of chase each other around the map, and I ended up winning. So now I'm gonna do the builds, and you guys are gonna see how close to perfectly accurate I'm able to redo it pretty much. I'm gonna host a game. Then Veracity FFA ladder. Test. I didn't not have game sound. This better work. My game sound is gone. Test. What the? That might be what went wrong before, is that the game bug. Oh yeah, we don't really need game sound anyway, we just need my voice. So first peasant out, lumber mill. Second peasant altar. I think some of the mistakes I made in the game we just watched was maybe because I was spending some of my attention on scouting. So here we get the farm around 100 HP, and then the racks. And yeah, I do plan to make the same tutorials for the other races eventually as well. For Orc, I pretty much already have it. So Orc will be next. And then eventually I'll do Undead and Night Elf. So here, Lumber Mill upgrade immediately. Then 11 out of 12. Farm. And 12 out of 18, it's going to be hero starting as soon as you can. Rally right over there. I probably want to mine closer to the lumber mill. You can pick the trees specifically. I think it was meant to be, oh, it should be 22 out of 24. There is a wrong, there was a wrong thing in my notes. It's good that I did this. 22 out of 24. Q second footman and 2 more peasants. You will take at 26 out of 30 while creeping the expo. So here, I wait until everything's there. You see, like, my mistake here was I didn't send militia early enough. I'm gonna make sure I don't get purged. I kill this guy first. And then I don't like if the water elemental gets attacked by this big guy, because this guy does the most damage. I'm gonna take a lot of damage on the Archmage because of what I explained earlier. I'm gonna replenish hit points pretty well. And then I want this guy to attack a militia. Ideally, you don't want it to go down to 10% hit points. So now this one of these two, yeah. Perfect. Start tech at 26. While the expos are almost done. We're gonna pretend it's a real game and scout the expos. Then I start mining here in the meantime. So the way I do this is that I do 3-2, the way I just did it, so that they are spread out. If you put all of them on the same tree, it's obviously not gonna work out too well. They're gonna block each other. Then here I kind of pay attention to when I could start this. Now. Yeah, save this one. So usually I start it with one and then I put all of them on it. I kind of want to save this guy. Fuck. And then now, yeah, I have more than enough gold to get the footy, I get it. And then 28 out of 30, that's going to be the shop attached to the main tunnel. It kind of sucks to get a snare there. That tank with his boy. So yeah, here, 130 wouldn't be enough. I need to wait like 140 just to be safe. And then now I kind of pay attention to the expo. Actually, if you do it like this, don't send the footman in, otherwise he's going to get ensnared. You want to see? You don't trust me? You think I'm lying? Whoop. Now it's time for Shredder. See, this guy was going to go to lumber. Very important to fix this. You want to have 5 and then immediately make 1. But this guy, he will make the blacksmith. So what you do is you send him to the main. That's one of the new adjustments that I made to the build. Because I used to make the blacksmith on the expo. Now I make it to the main. And then what I don't want to do too late is send a footy to the tavern. So I'm going to do it already. And then now it's already available. It was just available not long ago. Let's do this. If you're taking too much damage, you can pull the aggro by attacking your own units. But here it's okay. Like he can actually lose half his hit points. Again, you never get rushed. Pretty much here. So here it's almost done. Let's say I would have no info where anyone is in a game like this. So I start tier 3, get Panda. I would do this. Oh, there's nobody. Great. I send everything there, including the 5 militia. And then I send the Archmage to the shop. Behind this, I can start this. Then it will be double sanctum when I have the lumber. And then I can make this guy and send him there, like I said before. Now we wait for everything to be ready. This is a very important concept of creeping. Well, there's nobody on the map. I'm alone, but we're still kind of pretending. So here I can start this. I think the militia is okay. They can be late. Obviously, this is not my best execution of the build because I'm talking at the same time. So here, double sanctum. Second haze because the camp is nowhere near done. And then here I make one more, and we're at 40. We're exactly at 40. Get this farm over there. You see how tight I am on lumber? Very, very tight. Then here I'm going to heal. I kind of like doing the shop here. I mean, obviously every position is like different and some maps not perfectly symmetrical or anything. And then I use the second clarity when the first one's done. The goal is really to have a lot of water elementals, so it speeds up my creeping without the archmage being there. I keep pulling it back, obviously. Then here we're gonna want to get double workshop, but I need that guy to kind of do his job first. Then I'm gonna shift this. Here we get boots. See, I ran out of lumber here, so kind of you want to pay attention. You see how tight everything is? This is why mining the 100 lumber at the expo is very important. Because if you don't do it well, this is what's gonna happen to you. Oh, I almost killed my own critter. So yeah, 1 priest plus training, and then here. Come on, I need lumber, bruh. I need my pala. So here this is perfect because, look, I need to lose my footies. 30 seconds until the shredder is available. And I'm going to be on 49 in a second, so I need to lose those footies. How am I going to lose them? By cripping this, because that's my next expo anyway. So just attack move and don't care about them anymore. They've already served their purpose. I'm sorry, boys, but... Okay, Gyro. And then you can start queuing upgrades here. Even before the base goes up, I think it's okay in this case. Because I have the resources easily and I have the... I'm going to have the second shredder for sure. Maybe if there was some doubt in that, I would hold off on the upgrade. So I will put it in the main initially. So 4. And we're going to pretend there is something to scout on the map. So if I don't pick up Orb Staff with the Archmage, see, I kind of went with the flow here. That's usually the way I do it. Because every game in Spawn is different. If I don't pick it up with the Archmage, the Pala, when it comes out, is rallied there and gets Orb Staff and then goes immediately. And now we'll keep an eye on it. And when the next one is available, you want to buy it immediately. The way you want to scout with Gyro is you want to check out the map. So here, let's say I would check all the middle expo, and then I see that one guy is there, and I will put my Gyro here above his buildings. So your Gyros, initially, they scout the whole map to see who expanded where. But then ultimately, they will... what they will be doing is that they will check when someone is pumping units. So yeah, here, let's say I would have an orc and an elf next to me. I would start getting these upgrades. Probably frag shards as well, because you need a couple of mortars to blow up the backline. And then initially, I'd get flak cannon, but then later I'd probably add barrage. Barrage is like a way later upgrade. Against early air, you're always going to be doing flak cannons. And yeah, here, this is when the fourth base is about to go up, that's when you should make a few towers on each base to avoid what we saw in the game earlier that we watched, where... So I always pull camps like this, it makes it easier to creep them. Because then the creeps, you know, they derp a little bit. They're not always hitting. They use less spells, technically. Ideally, some of them are meant to run back there, but no, they don't really. Maybe I didn't pull them far back enough. You can kind of repair this guy to be safe. And see, I have my 20 on golds. 20 peasants on golds. And I have the one here. This guy is like the builder. So you can still use like your gold peasants like this a bit. Start making some towers. I'm so short on lumber. Holy shit. Brilliant item. So the Archmage usually carries the auras. Eventually you have to retrain him. Sometimes I even buy the tome in advance. And then here, look. Remember what I said? Boom, stuff. Efficient. And then anytime that I double click TP, I will be in range already of the shop. Which is going to save me an insane amount of time. Here we're going to retrain already. Let's say I want to fight an orc this game. There is an orc here, and I want to fight him because I see the other side is likely to fight. I would pump 4 priests. I'd make a knight. Like knight, I feel like I never make more than one usually nowadays. I'd make a knight. And then I would make probably 3 mortars. So 4 priests, 2 sorceress, rest in breakers, and 3 mortars. That's probably what I would go into. Yeah, you stop at 3 mortars. Anything above that is too much, in my opinion. One of these guys we're going to send here. And then sometimes if I know that there is a sentry ward here, I'm even going to get magic sentry and I'm going to hide my army inside of my base before I attack. So he doesn't see me coming. But ideally you want to see him coming. You want him to see you coming because you want him to make army and you want to crush his army. That's when you get maximum XP. That's the best. See, this is why it's important on your 2 sanctums that you get all the upgrades in advance, because then you only have 2 of them to fully pump. Okay, I don't want to get this. And then I think you get 111 initially, but then you work on probably this, and then the +2 should have been later now. I think that's what makes the most sense. I can make 1 more knight here. This is going to line up well with the rest of my army. Yeah, this army will be very strong to fight against Orc because they always go... They pretty much always go Farseer. Sorry, Farseer. Blades. And now I can actually dispel the mirror image very well. Look at how much mana I have. I can dispel multiple sets of mirror image in a row. I would say the biggest thing I'd be worried about here is probably Wind Riders, but I have Blizzard and Panda. You can put them on Inner Fire all together when they all have the same mana. And then they use the Inner Fire, and then you put them back to healing. Or you leave one of them on Inner Fire. But if I had 2 of them on high mana and some with no mana, I would put the 2 on high mana on Inner Fire. So here, this is when you add the additional workshops. And here I'm fully fight ready. Like 4-4-3 is really the sweet spot where if you micro like this, like let's say this is the opponent, you're gonna absolutely crush. This is really what you want right there. But you could also keep creeping and stay like this. The units in Warcraft 3 pump very fast, so even if someone goes for your main here, you have some defense that can buy you some time. You can start getting some masonry as well. Okay, that's some insane items. I would say this army, yeah, it kind of lacks breakers right now. Okay, I fixed that eventually. 3 breakers is still a little bit on the lower side, but that's okay. Usually maybe even cutting that 1 knight. The problem is that you have to make so many units from the sanctums. Maybe if I know I will fight Orc, I'll start getting a 3rd sanctum or something. But yeah, usually the order of races you want to fight first in FFA for human, it's Orc and Elf first are the most dangerous in late game, and then Undead, and then Human you kind of save for last. Human is like the most harmless if you know how to play a mirror. And you have a lot of tools. Eventually, you're meant to get Magic Sentry. You bind all your Arcane Towers. I'm going to show you. I put mine on 9. And then we're going to do an example of the shop. Like what you want to get in this type of game and what you want to sell. So I said before, some of the auras, they're either carried by the Archmage or the Pala. This guy will want mana items, like Medallion is like one of the best. So this is definitely any low tier like this. Slippers of Agility is a sell. A Circlet can be a sell. This potion would be a sell. The mantle, low tier, get the fuck out of there. Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, beautiful. Remember, that's the best. There's really nothing else here that I'm enthusiastic about. And not much. Be careful to spread out the summons, by the way, because, oh, beautiful. One of the best auras I could have found as well. Oh, and I think nowadays I go Aura 3, just because it's too beneficial for the other heroes. Obviously, you only keep this if there is an undead you're fighting against. If there isn't, you kind of want to sell it. Yeah, I need nothing. I already have Brilliance. This is complete trash. You even sell this. I already have 2 summon on the same hero, so I have to be careful. And I get another flute. Brilliant. Let's see if maybe here. And yeah, remember 80, you never break. So here, I keep doing upgrades. And then when you have 333 on the way, that's when you start adding. Okay, I have my Arcane Towers binded. See, like I want to scout, I just go around. Very easy life. Here, this is the time where you would want to add triple aviary. Usually, build them like this together. So yeah, here, let's pretend I was about to fight. I will make sure that I swap this with this, because otherwise... Actually, well, I should keep it on there to show you. I use that summon, and then look, 20 seconds. Whereas I probably want to have both in the next fight. I mean, I guess I could also save one. Here you can even pre-inner fire and then leave them all on a hill, but except one, because most people are not going to have enough dispel anyway to deal with this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me bring this back. So yeah, that's the build order. I strongly advise you print it or you save it in a... This is a TXT file or notepad file, whatever you prefer to call it. And this is, in my opinion, the best way to learn and memorize build orders, is to have them open like this. I actually have one for... So when I play 4v4, sometimes I will random. And this is the one that I have. So the Orc Farseer Headhunter, initially I didn't even know the exact build, so I asked Starbuck, he gave me this, I put it there. This, I asked Shocker. Then Elf Neutral here, I don't remember. I asked someone that told me to do it like this. So sometimes I don't even remember those builds because I don't play those races very often. So I have this on my desktop, I click it, I open it, I have it on my second monitor. And then I know precisely how to do the build. So for the first few steps, I'm just looking at this and doing the build as perfectly as I can. And I remember when I a little bit played Pala Rifle, I also used a file like this. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or notes on the tutorial, let me know. I will be doing the other races. I will probably be doing a video at some point also about general FFA smart ways to play. We shouldn't call them rules because there's pretty much no rules. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And if you want to try some FFA, let me know how it goes as well using this. Much love, guys, and laters.